What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to react to some recent comments made by Nick Wright. And basically, Nick Wright came onto his show and he was kind of defending Bronny James, right? And trying to justify Bronny James being in the NBA and say that Bronny James earned his spot in the NBA. And so while defending Bronny James, he also took a shot at Stephen A. Smith, right? And that's what I want to talk about because what he said about Stephen A. Smith, I think, is going to spark a back and forth. And I'm going to point it out. I want to listen to the audio, but I think that what he said about Stephen A. Smith is going to spark a back and forth that I think is going to is going to create some controversy because, in my opinion, this guy Nick Wright, the more he tries to justify Bronny James being in the league, I think he loses more and more credibility, and he's given Stephen A. Smith the upper hand with the more credibility that he loses. So, with that being said, I'm going to play the audio of what Nick Wright said, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna give some of my my commentary on
And this is a little about Bronny,
it.
and this is more about media criticism. But a little less than a year ago, we were in full-blown Bronny James meltdown in the media about the scourges of nepotism and LeBron forcing the Lakers into such a mistake and pleading with LeBron as a father to stop this farce, and folks claiming that their heart just goes out to the other potential draftees.
All right, so right there when he said pleading, right, that in my opinion, that's like a shot at Stephen A. Smith, right? When he says pleading with fathers to stop this farce and stuff like that, in my opinion, that's a shot at Stephen A. Smith, right? But a lot of people agree with Stephen A. Smith, when he said that it was a farce, and the only reason why Ronnie James is in the league is because of his father. And so that's true. And what I think, for Nick Wright to try to argue that, which I think that he didn't really have to bring that back up, because I think that, actually, in my opinion, it's just like beating a dead horse. That argument is over with. And I don't understand why Nick Wright wanted to go back down that road. I think that's going to spark Stephen A. Smith to have to come back, and go over that. Or even it's going to make Stephen A. Smith want to go even harder at Bronny James and LeBron James, just to justify his point and his stance. But Nick Wright chose to bring that back up. So, I don't really get it. But let's listen to some more of what Nick Wright had to say, because he's going to go on to try to give stats and justify why Bronny James is in the NBA, which none of it is legit.
Who got snubbed because the Lakers wasted the 55th pick on Bronny. And now, the last two games, the Lakers, who are super shorthanded, Sunday night, were in a tight game with Miami, played Bronny in crunch time. He played really good defense, had one awesome driving kick for a critical three, and they won.
So look, if you saw the last two games that the Lakers played, they did win. But Bronny did not play a significant role, number one, in the win that the Lakers had. Then on top of that, anytime Bronny score a basket, they just blow it out. They just magnify it, blow it out of proportion, and that still don't justify Bronny James being in the league. Like they won, in my opinion, they won in spite of, more so. It wasn't because of Bronny James, and so he can't make that. He can't. He's not actually saying that they won because of Bronny James. He's trying to imply that. But if you watch those games, they won in spite of you. Basically, when you have Bronny James, in my opinion, on the court, you playing 4-on-5 because you know, and he didn't play good defense. Like I said, they won in spite of Bronny James. But let's listen to some more of what Nick Wright had to say.
18 minutes. Solid, end of the bench performance. And then yesterday, in a game where LeBron was out, Luka was out, and Austin Reeves was out, they called on Bronny again against the Blazers when the Blazers were double-digit favorites. And Bronny played 19 minutes, had 6 assists, had no turnovers, and the Lakers won again. Now,
wait a minute. And then he said, if you listen to him, he said the Lakers called on Bronny again. Like Bronny led them to this victory. It's just crazy the things that this guy, like I said, he just loses more and more credibility. Then on top of that, when people say that he is on their payroll, you gotta, I'm starting to believe that Nick Wright is on their payroll because he putting so much spin on it. The Lakers called on Bronny. That's crazy.
Do I think Bronny is a great player? Obviously not. Do I think Bronny is even going to be a rotation guy this year for the Lakers when they're healthy? No.
All right. So if the Lakers can call on you, if he says the Lakers can call on him when they shorthanded, they can call on Bronny James. Then he's going to go on. He contradicts himself. Then he's going to go on and say, well, is he going to be a rotation guy when they're healthy? No. Is he, is he somebody who can help the Lakers later on down the line? No. He really contradicts himself. So I don't know. I don't know if he don't think that people really are paying any attention to what he's saying. Also, this is a way for him to leave himself an out, and because this is the part of his conversation that he'll repeat, like once people start to call him on it, and he'll say, well, I did say, he's not going to be in a rotation once they get back to full health and stuff like that. So this is him trying to walk and straddle the fence.
Do I think if we are going to be fair and we are going to look at this objectively, we should say, hey, how does his production up to this point in the season compare to the other guys drafted in the second half of the first round? I think that's fair. So if you go picks 45 through, I think there were only 58 in that draft, oddly, instead of 60. And you're like, oh, so of those 14 guys, 7 of them are not on an NBA roster.
All right. And before he named those guys and he go down, the reason why those guys are not on rosters is because they were not good enough to make the team. And so he really makes people point. If LeBron James wasn't his father, he wouldn't be on the team. But let's listen to what he's going to say about these guys who are not on the team. So Bronny James has been given an opportunity because of who his father is. And these guys just so don't have a father who's in the league. So that's why they're not in the league right now.
So, he certainly is providing more value than those 7. Of those 14 guys, only Quentin Post, Jamal Shedd, and Cam Spencer have played more minutes. Okay. Of those 14 guys, only Jamal Shedd and Cam Spencer have more assists. Of those 14 guys, only Cam Spencer has more steals. Of those, now Bronny his field goal percentage like 20%. He hasn't.
Yeah, so how can he justify that? You know, his defense is not exceptional, and he's shooting 20%. So that means that he's there because because of who his father is, and you know he's bringing other people's name up, and a lot of times, the later you're taken in the draft, of course, you know that means that you are a long shot to make it in the league. But because of who his father is, he's been extended more of an opportunity than everybody else. So yeah, you know, the more that this guy talk, the more he contradicts himself, in my opinion, and really just loses credibility. I want to see like what he's going to do when LeBron James retire, and how he's going to walk some of these statements back. You know, when it comes to talking about LeBron James and Bronny James. So that's my take on it. Y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.